Coming at you live from all over Ohio. A Cleveland Browns podcast full of laughs, rants, fun, and stats. A place where all Browns fans' voices are welcome and heard. A show that aims to inform and entertain you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Barking Browns Show.
Buongiorno, everybody. Welcome into episode 120 of the Barking Browns Show. I'm Jacob. That's Nick. We're brought to you, as always, by our friends over at Homage Apparel. We're doing a little Nick Chubb rep tonight. I got the Nick Chubb signed helmet in the background that's been in the background for pretty much this whole season. So dedicate this episode to him. Not that he gives a shit, but we will do that. So go check the link down in the description. Get the best apparel company on the market. Get yourself set up for some more depressing Browns Sundays with our friends over at Homage. Nick, happy Tuesday.
I mean, okay, I will just say Nick Chubb does follow me, so he might see it. He might appreciate it.
He
might. But
I hope he gives a shit. But
I hope so. But I just, Jacob, I really thought that we would be together tonight in a very different mood and mindset than we are. And so I'm just going to start by saying that it is my goal to be calm. My significant other has heard a lot of it already. So I'm hoping that was like a little woo and a little sigh. I just, you know what? I think just first and foremost, we have been to the Browns losses place many times. And so like, that's something we can deal with. But I think the place that I'd like to start is just the Nick Chubb.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Chubb getting hurt is, oh man, there's a lot of emotions tied in there, and I'm heartbroken over it. I'm heartbroken over it. It's not fair. Nick has been everything for the Browns. I remember when he got hurt in college, and they said there were questions about if he would play football again.
Yeah,
that happened then, and so to think about that, and
years ago,
yes, and the fact that he has set he's one of just a few running backs that have always averaged 5 yards a carry or more in an NFL career. He's been just the hallmark of the organization, the model Brown you could ask for, everything that you could ask for a Brown to be. Nick Chubb's been. He's never complained. He's been on terrible teams. He's succeeded despite complete ineptitude around him. And just to see him, he starts the game off cooking. He averaged over 6 yards a carry for the game. And personally, I just felt like this was the year that the Browns offense could really turn the corner. This was the year that they could really compete. And it was like Nick Chubb was still in his prime. And so it would like make it a little better that Nick was so great through all those years where the Browns struggled, that they could compete this year and he could be part of it. Because we know how short the shelf life is on running backs in the NFL. And Nick's an alien, and I think he was well on his way to another incredible season that he would have had. And so I hurt for him. I'm sad. I don't. This has a lot of depth to it, and I'm only beginning to deal with that. So I just hope he heals fast. I hope the best for him. And I think above all other things is Nick Chubb for me.
Above all other things for me, it's thanks to Nick Chubb.
Thank you, Nick.
I don't know if we'll ever see him on the field again, and I think that's a realistic outcome, that you never see him on the field again, at least not in Cleveland. I think none of his money is guaranteed next year. That's about as the only leg injury I think I've ever seen worse than that was Alex Smith. Like that, where he almost lost his leg. Like that's the only leg injury I can think of in my lifetime watching the game that I think looked as gruesome as that. I mean, his leg, it just, it looked like it was rubber. Like it was tough to watch. And if you haven't watched it, don't go watch it. Trust me when I say it's as gruesome as I have seen. Don't go watch it. Just prayers up to him, man, that he recovers and he's able to move on to whatever's next, if that's with the Browns playing football or whatever it is. I know that Nick Chubb will attack it like he attacks everything else. And I don't know, man. It's one of those things that there's an image of him on the ground just yelling. And for Nick Chubb to vocalize pain, can you? I mean, I just, and I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to call Minka Fitzpatrick what some people are calling him online. I do believe he went low. I don't think he intended to tear Chubb's knee up, but that's a possibility when you go low. So I don't know. I don't think he was looking to hurt Nick Chubb. I think some people think that was the case. I don't really think so. If you are somebody that believes that, I guess I get why you would think that based on the way it happens. But I just choose to remember just like that, even in the darkest times, Nick Chubb gave us some really, really awesome moments. And for that, I'm just going to be thankful. And I'm just going to hope for the best and move on.
You and me both. How do you quantify a loss like that? Like Nick has been just
the game so bad. It was so tough because it was like you lost Chubb and then you're like, well, but if you can get a victory here and then your offense just outside of Jerome Ford's 69-yard run, nice, later in the game, didn't really do anything. You know what I mean? Like you didn't really do anything after that. Offensively. So I wonder how much that held over their heads is kind of where I'm getting at.
Like, I don't know if Nick Chubb will ever wear a gold jacket. Like, obviously Joe Thomas is already a Hall of Famer. I expect Joel Bitonio to be a Hall of Famer. But in my mind, he's right up there with those guys. Just longevity, consistently at the top of his position, regardless of the Browns team around him. Just the consummate professional and just a guy that it just made you happy to put on his jersey. It still makes me. And I said yesterday, I'm gonna wear 24 for as long as I don't know. I'm gonna keep wearing 24. That's what I'm gonna do. Keep wearing 24.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like, Nick would have wanted the Browns to focus on football and win the game, and Nick would.
He would tell us not to be worried about him. He'd be like,
that's what he would. That's what he'd say.
Go do what you got to do. I don't know.
So let's do it then.
I don't know what his voice sounds like because he never talks. It's just like, oh my god. For the rest of the season, I'm going to honor Nick Chubb by starting him in my fantasy league. I don't think Nick Chubb would like that. I think he would be like, go for the win. I feel like Nick Chubb would be like, go for the win. Yeah, man. Will Nick ever play again after the devastating injury? I just don't know. I just don't know. Like,
could he Adrian Peterson and completely defy traditional, injury recovery type thing? I mean, he could. He could. I wouldn't put it past him. So I'm just gonna hope, and that's it. We gotta. There are 15 more games here. There's a game to talk about now. I saw somebody said it is the nature of the beast. It is cruel. Football waits for nobody. So I think that we have to dig into this game and we have to look forward because that's what the team on the field has to do.
So it was a bad loss. The episode title talks about it. You entered the fourth quarter with the lead, and Pittsburgh had -7 yards of offense in the fourth quarter and won that game. So that tells you what it needs to tell you. I'm going to start with my notes. This is the notes that after watching some of the All 22, and I say some because I couldn't watch all of it. I was like, no, there's a theme here. And having talked to some people and read some things for some people that I really respect in this area, I've got some notes on the offense. I'll say my notes on the offense. I'll let you respond, say what you feel about the offense. I'll kind of say something else. And then I'm going to move on to the defense and the outlook of the season, because that's, I think what we really want to do after that is we want to bitch a little bit. We all do. We want to get it out. You want to be like, hey, that sucked. And this is why. And then you're going to go, hey, Grant Delpit is really, really good. Grant Delpit, again, I don't know. He may have had a better game than he did week 1 when he played out of his mind. That interception was just textbook interception, So, like, there are things like that to talk about. And the biggest question remains from what we saw last night, is it fixable? Is this the group to fix it? Stuff like that. We're going to get into that. But here are my notes. I can honestly say that I was pretty cursy. Okay. The first thing
in your notes? You're cursing in your notes?
No, not in my notes. In general. in general, it was not in my notes. There actually isn't curse words in my notes, which is actually surprising. To be completely, because I'll write down some of these notes that I write down. I'll write down while I'm watching the game, like in the TV view, and I'll be like, hey, let me get back and watch the all 22 and see, like, did I see that correctly? Was a guy open, or maybe I missaw it and actually there was a safety, baiting him into, or whatever it might be. And so, like, some of these notes are like, I'll put a question mark next to it if I'm not 100%. I'm like, go back and check. You don't want to say this on the show and look like a dumbass. So Watson's eyes and his feet are a mess. Just a mess. The feet especially is a mechanics thing that can be coached. So that's like where I start, is saying that the two biggest things that I have issues with him right now are his eyes and his feet. And honestly, it's probably more his eyes than anything. But when he does find the guy, his footwork is just not where it needs to be. And it's leading to, even when he reads the defense, finds the open guy, he isn't delivering great passes. And a lot of that has to do with his mechanics and his footwork. And I know there's some offensive line struggles, and we'll talk about that. But his eyes and feet are a mess. But guys are open. And when I say open, I put really open. There are some really open guys that Watson took sacks. There's one on a out route. I don't think it might have actually been a backside dig. I don't remember where Amari was lined up when the play started, but I know he was going to the right in the middle of the field. And there wasn't a dude within 15 yards of him. And when Watson hits the back of his drop, because he scrambles and he ends up getting like 2 yards on a rush or something. That's what the play ended up being. But when he hits his drop, because everybody's like, well, what about the offensive line? When he hits the drop, Amari is dead in front of him, wide open. Is he looking at him? I don't know. I can't tell from the all 22, but he is right there. And instead, he's going this way, and Watson goes the other way and gets 2 yards. And I'm telling you, this was in Pittsburgh territory, and Amari had a shot at a touchdown because there was another wide receiver downfield that could have blocked for him. So that's my next notes say plenty of opportunities that were there. They just flat out missed. And that goes back to the eyes. What I saw last night was what I saw from Baker Mayfield in 2021. He's not seeing the field. He's not seeing the field. He's not diagnosing the defense. He's not finding the guys in time. And when he finds them in time, he's not pulling the trigger. He's hesitant. Again, when Baker struggled, he would struggle to pull the trigger. He would do the little double pump.
Yeah, sure would.
And that's what he's doing. He's doing that double pump. And it's like, and he's a little bit more athletic. And MC talks about him bailing a lot and running himself into trouble. Because even more so than Baker, just because Watson knows he's an athlete that can win. But there was this one time where he goes to escape and he just runs straight up into his line. He looks and looks and he just goes down. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's chaos back there. He's just not diagnosing defenses fast enough right now. He's not. He just doesn't see it. And I don't think he trusts his eyes. And so even when he is seeing it, like we said, the double clutching, I think he's like, oh, actually, is this guy actually open?
Yep.
He's holding on to the ball way too long with shaky line play. The tackles, actually, I thought DeJuan Jones actually was not bad.
Frustrating, but
Jed was bad. But in that, my point is, when you know those tackles are shaky, you can't hold on to the ball for 3 seconds. They're not getting you 3 seconds. Ethan Posick was getting schooled. Wyatt Teller was getting schooled. It was bad all around. He just doesn't look comfortable. He continues to double clutch. He's late on a lot of throws. Even when he doesn't double clutch, he's late. That Elijah Moore on the sideline should have been a touchdown. And instead, it's knocked away.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. And then my last note, and this is about just Watson and the offense. It's not Kevin Stefanski. It's not his play calling. Because again, they're open. Again, they're moving the pocket. They're trying to be creative. And I think they need to scheme some more. Scripting the first place at Harrison Bryant was a bold choice. There is some issues I have with some of his situational play calling. Absolutely. There was some cuteness that I didn't love, but a lot of people are just like, this is Kevin Stefanski's fault. No, when I watch that game, I see a quarterback that's bad.
Yep.
Is it coachable? Yes. But right now he doesn't trust his feet, he doesn't trust his eye. His feet's a mess. They're not on the same page. And they're struggling to get their playmakers the ball in space. So,
I think.
Hi, Crystal. Crystal says hi. Hello.
Hi. I think. Where do you even begin here? Here's where I begin. I think right now the offense is limited, and the Pittsburgh Steelers knew that. And I'll tell you what I mean. They have tried, I think, 3 deep shots to Marquise Goodwin now. If there is one area where the footwork, the mechanics, that type of thing show up most, it is in Watson's deep ball. Because it is non-existent right now. Marquise Goodwin has shown to me that he is that dynamic deep threat that we were hoping for him to be. He is open. They have shot plays designed for him. So Watson knows he's going there. So even when he knows that's where he's going to be looking, he can't deliver the ball. He can't. Not right now. The deep ball's not there. We commented 2 years ago in camp that it looked like Watson's deep ball wasn't there. Saw improvement in camp this year. Gave me a little bit of confidence. It's not there in the games right now. And I think you start there and you say, as a play caller, and not that you can even protect him to do these deep routes to begin with, but I think as a play caller, you know that Watson's deep ball isn't there. So you're already operating with a limited offense. And I feel like clips that came out from, and Jake Burns does a tremendous job of breaking them down. So there's a lot of people, but Jake is probably the one I see the most of. It is Christmas Day, Green Bay vibes all over again, where you just look at the tape and you say, there's a receiver open there. There's a receiver open there. There's a quick opportunity there. I mean, it's not like these are bold windows, but if you're acting decisively, if you're anticipating, if you're trusting, I feel like you deliver the ball. And that is just not, there were a bunch of opportunities on the sideline that I felt like could have been great Elijah Moore catches. And the ball was just not there. And the one was by like half an inch, Elijah Moore's foot was out. But
Which that's I'm mad at him in that situation, but like you could still have thrown a better ball too. He was sailing things like 10 yards out of bounds.
Just
Like
not
it was
even in
close.
the neighborhood. It's very similar to the overthrows that we saw in 2021. And so the root of my frustration is that this is not a first round pick you put your hopes into. This is a guy that from the outset you declared was elite because you gave up an elite haul of assets and you gave an elite contract to. And now, and I understand we're only 2 weeks into this, but you're 8 games into this, and it has just been more of the same. I think Deshaun looks a little bit more comfortable, but you're just and I don't understand. It's like, it's amazing. Every time the Browns go to Pittsburgh, I don't care who the quarterback is, it looks the same.
It does,
every single time. They can't run the ball. And I get the stats tell you that they could run the ball, but I would imagine after Nick Chubb goes out on an on-average basis, the Browns were not effectively able to run the ball. So it become one-dimensional. The Steelers pin their ears back. They come after you. Jedrick Wills is not. That's not it. That protection is not. It's not happening. That protection is not happening. They can't protect them, and they just beat the quarterback up, sack him, shake him, do basically the exact same thing that the Browns did to Joe Burrow the previous year, so that he gets to a point mentally where he is completely incapable of doing. Like, there were a couple of throws to Amari when they were pinned back deep in their territory that I was like, okay, you see, there's some good stuff there, but it just the by and large picture of it is just Deshaun struggling. And I think one of the biggest reasons I'm coming here so frustrated today is that we entered with the pretenses, and every stat, I was listening to the radio this morning, every stat that Deshaun had, he's a 70% passer. He's got one of the top passer ratings in NFL history. There's a list a mile long of stats that encourage you about Deshaun, because a big piece of this too is that in Houston, when he led the league in passing, when he threw 3 times the touchdowns he did his interceptions, he was still one of the most hit and sacked quarterbacks in the NFL. So you said to yourself, like, this is a guy who doesn't get rattled. This is a guy who can stand in the pocket, that can deliver the ball, that overcome poor blocking around him. And so it's like, this guy is billed as this dude that has been elite, that can be elite, that's overcome poor teams around him, that has been to the top. And it's so far from that right now. It's so far from that. And so then you think about everything that they did to get this guy here, and just the ramifications that had, and the season that we had last year, and now where we are. And you're looking at it, and there is zero confidence in the offense, despite the fact that you've got all these weapons. That's the root of it for me. That's the root of it. It's like the floor should be higher, and it is not. It's not. The ceiling, I think, is higher, but the floor is unchanged. It's still just abysmal, abominable, terrible, predictable offense that teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers pick on you, they embarrass you, and it's the same thing. I can't. Why is it the same? Why? No matter who they change out, it's the same. I'm so frustrated. I'm not going to. It's just the same. Why is it the same? Why does nothing change? I need to know.
I think the thing that for me was the most frustrating was not the loss. It was just the direction. And you know, there's been plenty of people that can. That's so funny. The last 20 years, I could have built my retirement off of betting on this one game.
Preach.
It's true.
Good God.
It's true. I probably should have been doing that too, to be honest with you. Missed opportunity. Well, I guess it wasn't legal until this year. Anyway, well, you could have bet on that last one. You could have bet on that last one. You can kind of bet on that last one. So I sit here and I did a lot of, kind of thinking about it, reflecting on it, and wanting to look back and just kind of why I'm so frustrated is just this time was supposed to be different because I get that he had never done this in a Cleveland Browns uniform, but history would dictate that he would not lose the ability to play football. Because he wasn't, and I get he's a little bit older and he needs to work himself back into shape, but he's in football shape. There's no excuse. You had all of the preseason and in training camp this year. So you can't say that that's the problem. Well, I mean, I guess you could, but that would be pathetic, to be completely honest, if you weren't able to get ready for that. If that's the case, but I tweeted last night, and I guess I really upset some people, that apparently you can forget how to play football at a high level. I tweeted that out, and I was like, that's the only thing I could think of. And it's like, but looking back at it now, I'm like, yes, is there fixable things? Like, yeah, you can work on footwork. But Casey Kinnaman, it's a very interesting question that you bring up, Casey, and I'll get to that in a second. But I was talking to Casey I believe it was this morning, and he said something along the lines of just like, he looks so stiff and tight out there. Like, he doesn't look comfortable and relaxed like he did in Houston. And I'm like, and I kind of went back a little bit and watched some of it, just strictly watching his body language after he'd said that. And I was like, oh yeah. I mean, he is. It's just like, I don't know. Well, what do you do with that? Like, can you fix it? Yeah, but like, I'm not really sure. Like, I wonder, like, is there going to be a rift between this coaching? Because like, they're going to throw the coaching staff under the bus. If this does not go right, they are going to throw them under the bus. And I'm not
garbage, by the way. In my opinion, garbage.
Right. It depends. It depends on how it goes. If it keeps looking like this, where everybody's open and he's the problem, yeah, it's garbage. Like, but it's also on them to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
So if they're not able to figure out how to make it work, you got to move on, whether they deserve to get fired or not, because
it has to work. It's guaranteed. You can't move on. You're not moving on. It has to work. So what are they going to do? They'll fire the coaching staff if it doesn't work because it has to.
I had a nightmare. I had a nightmare that they would fire Kevin Stefanski and hire Eric Bieniemy, and it would be Freddie Kitchens 2.0. And I just no.
Jacob,
somebody tweeted that, and then I legitimately had a nightmare about it last night.
I don't know what I dreamt about last night, but I'm glad I don't remember. But Jacob,
it wasn't Eric Bieniemy.
It wasn't Eric Bieniemy.
Damn.
Let me tell you, like, we've seen the Browns lose. We've seen bad quarterback play. We've seen all of that, and that's one thing. But the other piece here is when you're the quarterback, you're supposed to be the leader of the team. You are struggling. I have never in my life seen a quarterback get 2 face mask penalties in a game, both of which killed all momentum they had. All momentum.
It was
just took it and chucked it into the damn river.
It was so weird.
What are you? And there's this contact with the ref thing where he just like takes the ref and moves. What are we doing?
Get out of my way.
You have a fully guaranteed contract. You've been handed a historic deal, and that's not even including the 2 fumbles and whether you blame him for the interception or not. At that point, it's at least 5 of their drives that have ended horrifically because of pieces from him. 5 of them. You possessed the ball for 10 minutes and 45 seconds in the fourth quarter. You entered it with a 3-point lead. You gave up -7 yards. The Pittsburgh Steelers did not run a play in our red zone.
In the 30. They didn't
And
get into the 30.
And you lost the game.
Yeah.
You
But I would argue you almost won that game with all of that stuff too.
You did. The Cleveland Browns defense should be the talk of every national show right now. They should be up there with the San Francisco 49ers as an elite, dominant, unbelievably good defense. That is the way that they should be talked about, because the stats. Some people look at the final score and are just trying to say that the defense. I'm not hearing any of that.
The defense allowed 12 points.
Every stat tells you that the Browns defense is 100% elite, and so you finally get this right. And you know what? Let's forget for a second whatever Deshaun's paid. You just need him to be average. Just be average, and you win that game in three different ways. It's like the Browns finally. How long have we been asking for this defense? Jim Schwartz comes into Cleveland and has done everything as advertised and more. They should be. They should be up there. They should. They deserve to be. They played so well, unbelievably well. If I would have told you the difference between last year's defense and this year's defense is as great of a change as any unit in the NFL.
Let's do this. Let me get to a couple of these comments. Let's wrap up the offensive side.
Sorry.
Let's move forward. Okay? Because we need to get to the defense. Yeah. We've spent too much time being angry. So, is it time for Stefanski to put the training wheels on Watson and hold his hand like he did 6 and Jacoby until it starts to click? Yep.
Great question, Casey.
I think it's simple. Yes. Yeah. I don't even think. Connie said she dreamed about Nick Chubb. They were hanging out with him after the game in his hotel suite. He signed a picture for her. That's awesome. He was vacuuming.
Sounds like Nick.
That does sound like a dream about Nick Chubb.
Yeah, yes, it does.
It does seem like it is. Yeah, no. Watson scored more points for Pittsburgh than his own team. Yeah, no, I know. They gave up 12 points.
By the way, giving that team with that pathetic offense life and hope, I will not forgive them for doing that.
People look at stats, but Myles Garrett was a problem all night long.
Pittsburgh should be in the depths of down right now because of what they've got going offensively, and they're not, because the Browns,
they just can't beat them, man.
The Browns gave them that.
So the offense sucked. Let's say this. I'm going to reserve all overall judgment for the offense for another week, because I think that Nick and I said pregame show that I think maybe I was being a little bit of a crybaby about it because I thought my world was ending, and it obviously is not. It's very, very early, but it's just not trending where we want. I think that's the overall theme, is like, hey, it doesn't feel like it's trending where we want. So yeah, like I just don't feel like it's trending where we want. We want to see it better. It's plain and simple. You've got to simplify things. If the true issues, and what I'm seeing is he's not seeing the field, you got to figure out a way. Make it small, make it quick, intermediate, put him back under center. Right. I don't know what to tell you, but what you're doing right now is not really working. So figure out why it's not working and try to correct those things. You got to work on the footwork, and he just needs to be relaxed in the pocket. I think Casey said that to me a couple of times, and I'm with him 100%. Just really riled up, uptight. You're going against a bottom 4 passing offense. Bottom 5 passing offense in the first 2 games in Tennessee. So you're going up to a matchup that should be favorable to get your passing offense going. Kareem Hunt is in the building. We'll talk about that later because I don't care. And do you know that song I played just a minute ago was called Feeding the Ducks? That was fun. That was fun. Anyway, we need a theme song. Should we get a new theme song?
Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
We should get a theme song.
You know who I think the Browns are like looking in the mirror at right now?
Baker
the
Mayfield.
New York Jets.
Oh, yeah, except our quarterback's
not hurt.
Not hurt. He just sucks.
They're like, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not.
The New York Jets without Aaron Rodgers are the exact same as the Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson right now.
Except we have the ability to fix it.
Yes,
No.
that is yes.
Let me talk about the defense here.
Okay, all right,
Let's
yeah, because we have to get into why they're so similar because you're playing elite defense.
Grant Delpit is freaking awesome. He's really, really, really awesome. Grant Delpit has been really good. I thought maybe he played even better this week. I want to pull up his overall stats just real quick because
Please do.
Because they're really fun to look at. When you look at the PFF stuff from him. So in 2 games, oh my goodness. In 2 games, a 92.2 overall for Grant Delpit. An 86.6 in the run defense, a 70 pass rush grade, and a 90.6 coverage grade for Grant Delpit. He's played 64 coverage snaps, 4 pass rush snaps, and 41 run defense snaps. He has 13 solo tackles. Here's where it gets fun. Last year, amongst all safeties in the NFL, not a single person had more stop tackles than Grant Delpit. Grant Delpit has 7 stop tackles in 2 games. So 7 of his 13 tackles are stop tackles. He has 2 assists. I'm sorry. So half of his tackles are stop tackles. He's missed 1 tackle. He has an interception. He is allowing a 30.6 passer rating when targeted. And this is my favorite stat. He is allowing 2.3 yards per reception.
Amazing.
This is the Grant Delpit we thought we were getting. And it's just like, did we find what he was missing? Like, did we find that Jim Schwartz was the mojo that Grant Delpit needed? Because we all said last week, we said, hey, man, if we get this version of Grant Delpit the rest of the season, this defense could be fun. Yep. They could really go out there and have some good time. And Grant Delpit is playing out of his mind. It's amazing. And here's my other defensive notes. All right.
Okay. Tell me.
Oh, my God. The run defense is so incredibly improved that it's unbelievable. That's literally what I wrote. Run defense is so incredibly improved that it's unbelievable. That's exactly what my notes said. I'm like, I know that's probably some poor grammar in there, but like, that's how I feel. It's great. Maurice Hurst was really good. Shelby Harris was really good. Dalvin Tomlinson. Jordan Elliott contributed. He has looked through 2 games like an NFL player. It's been wild. This is a championship caliber defense. I truly, truly believe that. The defense has allowed 1 touchdown in 2 games, and the Steelers were inside the Browns 30 for 0 snaps, and they only allowed 12 points. This defense has bought into what Jim Schwartz is preaching. They've taken on the persona, that mantra, that tough guy attitude that Jim Schwartz gives you. And the offense just has to be competent. Really, and Tyler Johnson brought up some interesting things yesterday on our pregame show, as well as some of the stuff he talked doing their live stream over on the Pro Sports Fan app, the PSF app. You should go check us out over there. Casey Kinnaman and I do a show on Fridays as we preview each week's matchups. He said, I didn't expect Watson to be like Watson in air quotes until closer to around the halfway point. And I thought that was kind of interesting because I see the point where it's like, yes, he's comfortable in this offense. This offense is tailored to him, but it's still different. It's still new. There's still a lot of weapons around him. And I'm like, okay, that's an interesting kind of standpoint. This defense can play well enough to help you win games while the offense finds themselves.
Yep.
And for that reason, I'm feeling more optimistic than I was yesterday, last night, and this morning. This defense is really, really good. They're relentless on that defensive line. The linebackers, JOK was just
my God,
over the field. Ogbo Okoronkwo was great. The three corners, I didn't even realize they played last night. You know what I mean? It was like, oh yeah, hey, there's Martin Emerson.
Like,
oh hey, there's
literally,
Greg.
one busted coverage against George Pickens, and that's it.
And George Pickens has got some wheels if you
Yes,
let him get in the open space. I was like, I just watched that play and I was like, as soon as like I saw how much room he had, and then I knew they weren't going to be able to like cone him in, I was like, oh yeah, he's gone. They're toasted.
And I will tell you what, just the way that they are like you. I don't know where the Browns are going to finish statistically, but the turnaround and run defense is going to be probably the most dramatic in the NFL. I would assume if you took every NFL run defense and you took their 2022 rank, and then you took their 2023 rank when it's all said and done, I bet you the Browns will have the most significant improvement. And that, on top of the fact, like I think I'm confident enough right now to say that defense is going to give you a chance to win every game you play. Every game you play, you will be in because of that defense. They have, I understand Burrow has his injury issues. I understand Pittsburgh's offense is not good. Pittsburgh's offense is not good. And so we'll see where that goes throughout the year, because that is the same team that just got absolutely whooped by the 49ers. And I expect other teams that have better quarterback play than we do right now to be able to take advantage of their offense. And I'll say this now, after watching Pittsburgh last night, I expect their winning season streak to end this year. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I certainly expect it, because I do not think Pittsburgh's any good. Anyway, the defense is going to give you a chance to win every game you play. It is incredible. I love watching them play. The Boo Birds, and this is another piece too. The Boo Birds were out in Pittsburgh for the majority of that night. That they were not having any success. I mean, Najee, it looked like at one point got benched because he was having zero success against the Browns, and they brought in Jaylen Warren, and he did some nice things for them. He's an explosive player for sure.
I was hoping they would put Najee back in.
Yeah, honestly, I saw Najee on the sidelines. I was like, no, come back.
No, sweet prince.
No, come back.
Don't leave us.
But of all the things, as upset as I am about the Browns right now, I expect the defense to keep them in every game they play. And so as long as you have buy-in, as long as you have effort, that defense will be there. And so that's the biggest thing right now for me. As we get to this point where you're 1-1, you're coming home for 2 games. You're playing Tennessee, who is not, although Tennessee, see, here's the thing about the Titans. Mike Vrabel is a great coach. They always play above their talent level. They always do. I think about the time that they won the AFC in an injury-riddled year, and they had that home playoff game against the Chiefs, and we're in it the whole time, which I don't think they were anywhere near as talented as the Chiefs. My point is, the Titans always play above the talent level on their team. Mike Vrabel always has them well coached. They are going to sell out to stop the run, and they're going to say, okay, Deshaun Watson, you beat us. And that is, I think, where the season's at right now. It is can Deshaun Watson bounce back? Can Deshaun Watson raise his level of play? Because I think from here on out, the Ravens are probably going to do the same thing. They are going to do everything they can to stop the run, and they are going to do exactly what they did to Baker Mayfield, and they're going to say, you need to beat us because you are not putting fear into anybody with your level of play right now. And so can he? I hope so. But I mean, do you feel like I'm off base here, Jacob?
No. It's one of those things where I just want to close the door and move past it. Where it's like,
yeah,
say what you got to say, feel what you got to feel. And if you want to stick onto this game for a while, then stick onto this game. I have absolutely no issue with that. But it was bad. Just, I don't know, man. Just be better. It's there. The opportunities are there. The scheme is there. The talent at wide receiver and tight end is there. Kareem Hunt's in the, but let's talk about Kareem Hunt. How about that? Let's do this. Let's talk about Kareem Hunt, and let's just talk for a couple of minutes about what we think. I mean, I guess you kind of did a little bit. Talk about what you think will happen the rest of the way.
I kind of took a.
I guess you kind of did that.
Sorry.
Okay, so Kareem Hunt is in the building. Was in the building. I mean, it's like 9:00 at night now, so I assume he's not in the building anymore. Maybe he could be. I did see something that there was a couple of sources that said they thought maybe it was that there was something imminent. And then like some others that just said like they're going to keep in touch.
Yeah, what does that strike you as weird?
What?
That they brought Kareem Hunt in for a workout and they're leaving like on uncertain terms.
No, same thing happened with Shelby Harris.
That's fair.
And I think it's an interesting thing because it's an off day for the team.
Okay.
I would assume they'll practice tomorrow since they're on a Sunday schedule again. Practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, be off Saturday. If tomorrow goes, like comes and goes, and he's not signed, then it's a little bit weird, and it probably means that they're not going to do it.
Okay.
But I really think that there's a good chance they want to take today and maybe tomorrow and just be like, well, what are our options? Okay, we brought Kareem in, and I don't know, they may have brought in other people.
Sure. Sometimes
you find out from the waiver, from the transaction wire if there's workouts, and sometimes you don't. And I haven't seen anything that says they had anybody else in, but cool. There's the reported interest in Cam Akers, who is potentially available from LA. I would take Cam over over Kareem.
Cam was very good down the stretch. I think it was in the final 6 games. I don't know
why he keeps getting in the doghouse down there, though. That's the problem.
There's something there, but he certainly is talented, and he's come back from an Achilles injury and still was really effective for the Rams last year. So they haven't said much about it. I know he's a talented player.
And the thing about it is I think they really do like Jerome Ford.
Yeah, it seems like it. Which, I mean, Jerome had some nice moments.
That reverse run for 69 yards was just fun.
Yeah, it was.
It was really fun, and it kind of made you feel, at least for a second, that they were going to win. And anyway, that they were going to figure it out. But I'm fine if they sign Kareem Hunt, because I don't think anybody they sign is going to come to be the starter. I just don't think, because I don't, like I said it the other day, I was like, last night I said, screw them picks, Jonathan Taylor, and it's like.
That would be fun.
It would be fun, but, and do I think, is there a 0% chance? No. Is there more than a 1%? Probably also no.
I think the biggest problem with Jonathan Taylor is that he's going to want to be paid.
And he's hurt.
And that too. Is he hurt though? There's this weird.
Okay, but the list that he is on, he's got to miss the first 4 games. So
agreed. Yeah.
So you're looking at him coming in after the bye week, which there's a good point here. Just like anybody they sign is probably not going to be in Sunday's game plan. Yeah. You're probably not heavily. You're right. And so you could do something like that. But if they're looking for something to potentially play right away, Kareem Hunt makes the most sense because he's familiar with the system. I know the system's different, but he's familiar with the personnel, and he has played with Deshaun a little bit last year. I think he's lost a step, but if he comes in there and they split it with Jerome Ford, who can be that speedy guy, I think Kareem's still got enough power to be a decent contributor. Like I would not sign Kareem Hunt. I would go somewhere else. I'd actually go Michael Carter if he was available in New York, but we don't know what's going on up there. But if they sign Kareem, I'm okay with it. I think it would be fine.
Yeah. I think when you have a running back room full of 2 second-year guys, I think having an old head in there, having a veteran in there makes a ton of sense. Kareem's been here. He knows he's
had
from
success.
Here. Yeah, and he's had success. I feel like given Andrew Berry's history and basically like the value to upside with Jonathan Taylor, if you trade for that guy, he's a proven commodity that is going to obviously he wants to be paid, right? And so I don't think that given the Browns' current situation, they would go that route unless like there was a chance with Nick Chubb. I thought that they could sign into an extension and that could be an option if he had continued, which he very much looked like he was going to play well. Anyway, so to me, I think Cam Akers is the guy. The Rams are telling you they want to move him. So you're already giving up your leverage of the true price that you could get for a guy like that. Cam is currently cheap, is definitely not going to come with the foundation of contract demand that Jonathan Taylor has based on his results. That's the type of risk reward. Andrew Berry does a lot of low risk, high reward moves. And I feel like Cam Akers is a guy that really fits that mold that they could get for cheap.
Yeah.
Like with Jonathan Taylor, I don't know does it take a second round pick? I don't know.
It takes a lot.
It probably takes a significant bit. With Cam Akers, like if you told me the Browns traded a 5th round pick, just picking that one out of thin air, for Cam Akers, like would I be shocked at that? No, absolutely not, because the Rams have told you that they don't want him there.
2 5s, 2 6s, and 2 7s, I think is what they have.
2 5s, 2 6s. Okay, fine.
Because I don't think they have a 4th. I think it's a 2 3, 2 5s, 2 6s, and 2 7s. I think is what they have in 2024. But you can always do a compensatory pick or a conditional pick for the next year or something like that. So what I think happens.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Going forward is, I think they'll get back to the basics. I think they'll be better. The problem is I just don't know how much. Like I thought I understood, looking at the talent and things like that. And it's going to take more time than I expected for sure. But I think the offense is better than what they've showed. I'm just concerned that they're not a lot better than what they've shown. So for me, it's not necessarily a must win in Tennessee, but it is a must play well on offense for the quarterback in Tennessee, because it's going to get really, really loud if you go out there again for another week and just suck.
I think it is a must win because we have been in the bye week's 2 weeks away. We have been in this situation so many times. Inevitably, if the Browns do not, I think at minimum they have to go 1-1 in the next 2. Ideally, you'd go 2-0. But if they don't, there's going to be some article about a rift, an issue, whatever, between the quarterback and the coaching staff. We've been there. How many times have we been there? You get to the bye week, and that piece comes out that talks about whatever internal issues that the Browns are having, and then the whole thing starts. I want to avoid that at all costs. You need to go into that bye week with good momentum, good vibes, good reports, good everything, because for the team's mentality and just for the overall outlook of your season, I think it is crucial when you take that break to have good surround you. So obviously, ideally, they go 2-0. But if you're looking at the next two opponents, you say Tennessee should be far easier to beat than Baltimore is. Tennessee could absolutely win this game, but I think your best bet is to beat Tennessee. If you go into the bye week 2-2, you could live with that, because I think my favorite thing, now that we're starting to get an idea of the NFL season, I want to bring up the fact that so we know that the Browns play the Bengals in the final week of the season, but the previous month before that is Jaguars, Bears, Texans, Jets. And the previous two to that are Broncos, Rams. Now, the Rams look like they're going to be a pretty competitive team. The Jaguars are definitely a competitive team, but you have 4 of the 6 there that right now you would say those look like winnable games. Those look like games that if you play up to whatever, like that, you should be able to win them. So if you go into the bye week at 2-2, I can live with that. I think with the way the schedule is looking, with the fact that there are only 2-0 teams in the AFC right now, I think if you go into the bye week at 2-2, your ship's afloat. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It's like, I don't know. Like, I think you just got to start with what's in front of you. Just look at what's in front of you. Look at what's in the Titans. Their pass defense is not very good. So this is an opportunity to where you go in there and you say, hey, we definitively know through 2 games these guys they haven't been very good. Doesn't mean they can't be better, because they can, and it's a Mike Vrabel coached team. But you have an opportunity to go into a team that has has allowed passing attacks to play well. So go on in there, figure it out, see where you are, and go from there. I don't want to look anywhere past 1 game. I want to go in there, look at Tennessee, and I want the quarterback to look better. If the quarterback does not look better, like, he doesn't have to be all the way back, but he's got to be trending in the right direction, because that's why I have a problem right now. It's not because he's not all the way back. It's because I don't see him getting back. That's where I'm at. I don't see the progression.
Yeah.
I just see a guy that could now it's gone from 6 to 8 games of bad play.
Yep.
And now it's gone from 6 games at the end of the season where you missed 700 days to, well, you had everything else you needed. What else did you want?
You designed the offense. You spoke really highly of it. You said 2023 was going to be a movie. And this is where the level's at right now. So I 100% agree. I think you just, like, let's just be frank. I was really honest today. I was definitely in my feelings. I admit that. But we know this. We talked about this with Baker Mayfield, and now we sit here, and I think it's important. Your ceiling is as high as your quarterback play is. I think that's just the brass tacks of the NFL. And so the reason I think, and so yes, maybe the Steelers game is some overly negative reaction, but I think it's because we all know better than almost any fan base that you only go as far as your quarterback takes you. And when you're billed that this guy is going to be elite, that he's been historically elite, that he's going to lift the level of your franchise, that he can set all these records, any piece of it you want, that's a positive outlook of Deshaun. When you're billed all of that stuff, and then you get the quarterback play that we're getting right now, that is what is deflating. That is why people are so upset, because we have been talking about the fact that this guy raises from where we were before. And if that proves not to be true with a fully guaranteed deal, those problems are enormous. So please, like, that's where I'm at. We need to see elevated quarterback play. At least good. Just be good. That's fine. I'll accept that right now. Just be good.
Be watchable.
Well, That's a bar in itself. I think
That's it.
Okay. That said,
Don't
I
have anything
appreciate
else.
I appreciate all of you being here with us. It's hard to talk about the Browns today. It's hard. It's hard coming off of all of this, and the fact that so many of you are here, so many of you watched the pregame show that have supported us. Our sub count keeps growing, so thank you. Clicking that like button, clicking that sub button, leaving a comment on the YouTube video. Promise you I'll respond if you comment. All of those things help us dramatically, so we appreciate every bit of it.
Jersey giveaway tomorrow. Probably.
Jersey giveaway tomorrow.
Watch out for that.
With that being said, I still owe you all a hot chip challenge. I know that. I'm just not. Soon. Promise you soon. This has been episode 120 of the Barking Brown Show. I'm Nick. He's Jacob. Go Browns.
Sure.